My first memory is jumping on my parents' bed, screaming along to TNT by AC/DC.
Wow.
As like a little kid, jumping on the bed and singing that song.
Wouldn't have expected that.
Yeah.
The first thing that came into my head was Genesis' Land of Confusion. The video terrified me.
Yeah.
You know,
Didn't you have nightmares?
Had nightmares about it my whole childhood. Yeah.
My folks didn't play that much around the house. A lot of Beach Boys. Like, you know, that was like the only record I feel like they owned.
What was that Spanish song?
Oh. If you want the story, the filthy story, my parents, if they hear this, they're gonna.
They probably will.
My dad will strangle me.
Uh-oh. Sorry,
no,
John.
I mean, when it's business time in my family's house, there's music on. So that's my earliest memory. And my friends would always jab at me, like when they'd come by, if like, you know, I'm a kid and they're, you know, you have like a friend sleepover or whatever, and Spanish. Actually, it was Ottmar Liebert. If that got turned on, then you left the house or went in the back room and played video games or something. That's such a screwed up first recollection of music.
No wonder you have that romantic connection to music.
Yeah. That's why I write those sweet love songs.
Yeah, exactly.
I probably stole my mom's Zeppelin records. They had Pet Sounds in the house, but I don't think I really had any plans to play music at that point. My buddies all started playing in high school and joined bands and stuff, and I'd go to all the shows, and that was probably what inspired me the most to pick up a guitar. Sometimes I think it's extremely humbling to be in a room with guys who are much more knowledgeable about music, or proficient at their instruments or whatever. You know, like we're getting ready for that Grammy Foundation show, and the guys that they have playing up there are insane. You know, and every time you look at someone like that, you're like, okay, well, I'm not there yet, but when you start hearing your songs in the mix with, you know, all the other big artists that are out there today, I don't know. That's kind of like a, you know. Mm-hmm. You start to feel confident about what you're doing and
validating.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Being on the radio for the first time was definitely one of those moments. We had a song called "Hate" that was on the radio before Delilah even was.
And it was on like K-Rock, which to us obviously
was the biggest
still
deal
the biggest
world,
deal. But you know, it's just.
And I was in a car. We were playing Warped Tour that day, and I was in a car with a couple girls that I was hanging out with, and so the song came on. And I had to be like, oh yeah, it's cool. You know, I had to like play it cool that my song's on the radio.
And the GD radio.
Oh yeah, and I was like freaking out, but I had to like be cool for the chicks.
That's pretty funny. Yeah.
Even though I probably could have been excited, but I don't know. I'm an idiot. I would say though, there was a moment, you know, specifically besides the radio thing. You guys remember the Milwaukee Summerfest?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
That was like just as Delilah kind of started hitting radio. And we had played the Milwaukee Summerfest before.
Being from Chicago and everything.
Yeah, and we opened up for some other bands, and it was it was always a great show. So we played it the year that Delilah got really big. And we were headlining this big stage, and we went out there, and there was like 10,000 people there or something. It was ridiculous. And we had never, we'd opened for Panic or Fall Out Boy or things like that where there was a ton of people, but we were always the opening band. So for us to go on stage headlining and there was like 10,000 people there, we kind of were taken aback for a second, like, wait, who's playing after us? Like, what's going on here? And then it clicked, like, oh, that's what a hit song does. Okay, crazy. And then we had a great show, and I'll always remember that moment for sure. The new album is called American Nights, coming out March 31st. I think it's our best album yet. I'm very, very proud of it. We really came together as a band. Even Dave wrote a song for this album. So everybody really contributed, poured their heart into it. Geez, I don't even know where we start. The album, we started working on this thing.
A long and winding road.
Yeah, a long ass time ago. We actually had finished a record that none of us were that stoked on.
Well, it ended up kind of becoming an EP.
Right.
And then we kind of pushed the EP for a bit, and the record was always like going to come and complete with the EP, and it was going to be just kind of, 15 song, whatever, combination thing. Then when we decided to leave the EP behind, then we had to write more songs, and when that happened, that's when the creativity, I think, started flowing. Really,
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. We were all a little bit burnt out on the songs that we'd recorded because it was a while ago.
Burnt out on a lot of things, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so we all came together and was like, man, let's just write some new ones. And we got some songs together that I think, for me, are some of the most exciting and fun songs we've ever recorded.
Basically, half the album was done that week.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So half the album was done 3 years ago?
Yeah.
God. And then the other half was about a month ago in 1 week, recorded in 1 week in my home studio.
Which is how we'll probably do every record from now.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
it
it
ended
was
up
awesome.
sounding the best.
Yeah,
of all the
exactly.
stuff.
It was such a cool moment of camaraderie for us to really come together, and it's like, man, we got a week. Let's do this. Let's blast through it, and we did, and it sounds awesome. We can't wait for people to hear the songs. Super stoked.